Hi everyone, and welcome to Quora with JC. And I'm gonna go through some posts on Quora. So I'm a member of the website, and I see some very good conversations there from time to time. I don't see that on Facebook, for example, but maybe I'm just not a member of the right groups, as is often the case. Now, a lot of them are about COVID, obviously, because, once you kind of reply one thread, then it thinks that you are like super interested in it. But anyway, the first question is, why is the second wave of coronavirus hitting Europe so hard? Didn't Europe have enough time to prepare itself and study how other countries in Asia handled it without nationwide lockdowns? But the thing is, like, they didn't. That's the whole point. And forget Europe, look at America. I mean, okay, I live in Japan, and so back in December 2020, we had this big incident with the Diamond Princess boat. The people that were, somebody on the boat caught the virus, and it spread like wildfire, obviously, on a cruise ship, as you would imagine. So hundreds of people got sick, people started dying, etc. Already in December last year, people in Japan started to take measures. For example, washing their hands more often, carrying hand sanitizer around, wearing masks. And then you look at America in December, February of last year, and you don't see any of that at all. And in fact, Trump was saying that it's a hoax, it's not going to be dangerous. You had the shill Anthony Fauci, who, was going around telling everybody that you shouldn't, masks are not necessary. And later, they tried to justify it by saying, oh, well, we lied to you. We lied to you, but that was because, we want to protect the healthcare workers first. And I understand the logic, but you should have just said it. You should have just come out with that. You should have said, okay, yes, you should wear a mask, but right now, as a country, we have a shortage and we're prioritizing the healthcare personnel, because if they die, then you will not have any care in the future. Man, just tell the truth, man. I know some people don't want to hear that, but just be honest. Okay, the next question is, again, about COVID. Is it true that we will never return to our old normal before COVID-19? I don't know. That's debatable. The old normal, what was that? It's the days when we were spewing out a lot of CO2 into the atmosphere, and, that kind of normal. I don't know. I don't really want to go back to that normal. How about, here's a radical idea. How about we create a new normal? We now have potentially 4 COVID-19 vaccines with 90% effectiveness. Does that mean rollout can be 4 times faster? Turns out, no, not at all. It's because a lot of countries prefer to play identity politics and preserve some kind of national pride instead of actually helping people. So, for example, there is the Russian vaccine Sputnik. Even CNN had a piece on it. CNN, of all places, CNN, who is vehemently anti-Russian, I should say, they even had an article that said, Sputnik is 91% effective, and they actually wrote a pretty positive piece on it. But do you think that some America, for example, and Canada are going to import the Russian vaccine? Do you honestly not think that their national pride will not be hurt by doing that? Of course it will be. So they don't want that. Yes, they could help people a lot faster, but they're just not going to do that. It's not even phrased correctly, but okay. How much time will it take for everything to become normal after the successful rollout of the COVID-19 vaccine? That's debatable. Again, we don't know. It really varies from country to country. We see today, for example, that I think the UK is over 50% vaccinated. Countries like Israel is close to 100% vaccinated. So yeah, it depends where you are geographically, unfortunately. What is the percentage of vaccinated people needed to stop the coronavirus epidemic? I'm finding it increasingly harder and harder to believe that a high enough percentage of people will get the vaccine. Well, okay, that's probably not really true anymore because we see the vaccine coming out more and more. As far as herd immunity goes, that's a very dangerous topic to talk about because usually, yes, with a lot of viruses, after, let's say, a certain percentage of the population got it and then recovered, you can say indeed that, oh, now you're resistant. But that's not at all what we find with COVID. So don't get that idea into your mind. Herd immunity is not applicable with COVID-19. All right, next question. The COVID vaccine has been cleared for use today. Vaccination will start early next week. Would you take it? So the short answer is you should take it. But the long answer, without sounding like an anti-vaxxer, because I'm not, you have to be aware of the side effects. There are some, who knows what's in them. You have to do research. You have to find out precisely the components of the vaccine. Look, you can't just go around jabbing yourself with just anything out there. I can give you some very easy examples to understand here. For example, when we talk about human temperature, well, if you have a temperature of 36.6 degrees, that's considered healthy. But if you have 37 degrees, then that means you're running a fever. So 0.4 degrees, you might say, hey, that's not much, but that's a difference between someone healthy and someone who has a slight fever. A couple of grams of cyanide can kill you. In my case, I have a kind of eating disorder that was caused by animal blood. And in my case, it was just a few milligrams of animal blood that completely destroyed my digestive system. So yeah, small changes, but we are very susceptible to those small changes. Very susceptible. So be careful. Next question. If I have a mask on and I walk by someone who does not have a mask on and that person sneezes and I just happen to walk by as they sneeze, can the droplets get into my eyes and cause COVID-19? Yes. 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 Unfortunately, that's why, yes. And that's why the assholes who don't wear a mask, well, first of all, even if they do wear a mask, the mask is not 100% protection, but it does block quite a bit. I would say it depends on the mask, because if you just wear a cloth mask, or some people just wrap a kind of scarf around their mouth, I think that's maybe 50% protection. I'm not sure. You can find these stats on the internet. With more kind of surgical masks, and you get up to 80% or so, maybe 90%. But look, this is still not 100%. Droplets, tiny droplets, yes, they can still travel, unfortunately. But the people who don't wear a mask, they are just assholes. That's it. How long would it take for a complete lockdown to stop the COVID-19 pandemic? 2020, 2021. That's a good question. I don't have the answer. It really, again, depends nation to nation. What we saw with COVID is that there was a response and some nations went into lockdown, but that lockdown was not universal. So in my opinion, it's not as effective as it could have been, as it maybe should have been. My idea is that maybe what we should have done is, okay, everybody, we lock down for a month or two, and that way we can really control the spread of the epidemic. Now, we didn't do that. Countries did it wherever they felt like it, and that's why in the end, yeah, you cut it down, but on a national scale, not on the international scale. So I definitely think something more could have been done in that respect. Okay, next question. Why do people still wear masks And by the way, now we're moving into like July 2020. So in July 2020, people are still asking these questions. Despite already all the information out there, still. Why do people still wear masks when they barely offer protection against the coronavirus because of the size of the virus? Well, I already talked about masks a little bit. So again, if you don't wear a mask, you're just an asshole. That's all. So again, wearing a mask, there is a certain percentage of protection that they offer. It is not nothing. And so when it's not nothing, you take whatever you want, whatever you have there to protect yourself. Hey, if it's 50%, you take those 50%, man. Lockdowns and mask wearing have not stopped the spread of COVID-19. Is that they don't work or because they are insufficiently applied? Would they work if more people wore them, or are they ineffective in the first place? So again, I just kind of answered that, but people keep asking these questions. So lockdowns have been partially effective, and this is because, again, they were not international, they were national, different times of the year. Masks do work, but not entirely. So you're not going to have 100% protection. And whether they are insufficiently applied, yes, definitely. Well, you saw that in America, there was even hearings held in Florida, I think. I covered that before on my show, Age of Reason. There was a hearing in Florida where people went on to basically complain that the government is kind of forcing people to wear a mask. And they're like, oh, I'm free, my freedom. How dare you tell me to wear a mask? This is unfortunately the mentality that we encounter. So yes, they are insufficiently applied. Absolutely. Okay, and the last question for today is a UK question specifically. Why is the UK doing so bad with COVID-19 compared to virtually any other country? Does the UK have great population density, or are we more honest with reporting COVID-19? Well, I think it's kind of a mixture of everything, but I can tell you one thing. If you look at the Christmas and New Year celebrations of the past winter, so 2020, 2021, I can tell you that because I have friends in the UK who told me that, and I think the numbers also kind of complement what they say. If you look at the numbers, people generally behaved over Christmas period, but they completely let loose for New Year's. So during Christmas, you don't see much of an increase, but then you see a huge increase in cases and infections during the New Year period. So I think, at the end of the day, it is very difficult to control people. So yeah, you can ask people like, please don't do that, please don't do like celebrations on Christmas. But people are not listening, man. That's the bottom line there. People, this is already 1 year into the pandemic. You would think that, okay, they have the information, they have the education, but no, not at all. Not at all. Not even close. So yeah, that's why the UK is not doing well, because unfortunately there are a lot of idiots out there that cause trouble for everybody. Okay, that's all I wanted to cover today, because there's a lot actually. So I'm going to try to do these once a week. And, I'm not some kind of doctor, but I do have connections actually to a doctor. And I do have enough knowledge and information to talk about it. I'm not claiming to be right all the time. I'm not infallible, but I think that these are kind of fair summaries of what's happening. So if you enjoyed, if you have any questions, feel free to drop it in the comment section, and I will see you next time for the next session. Bye-bye.